Oliver, I'm fearful to take trades. Why, Oliver? Why am I fearful? This is actually a very deep question. Some people might too flippantly regard this as very basic, this question. Oliver, I'm afraid to take trades. Why am I fearful? Very profound. Because this trader used why. And whenever you use why, you elevate. You elevate the question. Why without trying, you throw why into the universe without trying to answer it, and the universe brings something back to you. Let me help you with this. The question is, why am I fearful? So profound. Think about this. Most people don't even know what they're fearing. This is why this question is so profound. Like, guys, look, if your maximum loss per trade is $50, are you really fearing the loss of 50? Some of you buy 2 drinks and it's more than $50 every single day. Some of you wouldn't even go bother pick up $50 right now if your friend owed it to you. Be like, okay, maybe next week sometime. It's not the $50 you fear. It's not the money that you fear. You fear yourself. You fear that you won't do what you're supposed to do. You don't fear the loss. You don't fear the little change that if this trade doesn't work, you'll lose. Some of you are fearful and you're trading on a demo. So it can't be the money. You fear you. And some of you should fear you. You fear that when push comes to shove, I won't do what I'm supposed to do. You fear keeping your word. You fear doing the right thing. You fear that when everything is on the line, when you're called to do your duty, you fear that you will not do your duty. You fear yourselves. This is easily overcome by removing you from the trading equation. You should not be the trader, especially in the beginning. You should not be making decisions. You should not be thinking. Your plan is the trader. Your plan makes the trade. Your plan works the trade, raises the stop, adds when it's supposed to add, takes profits when it's supposed to take profits. You should have a profit-taking rule. You should have profit-taking rules. That's part of your plan. I take profits when this. I take profits when this. And I take profits when this. And that's it. That's the plan. I add under these 2 scenarios. Okay? That's the plan. I raise my stop to break even once the stock does this. That's the plan. And once you put the plan together, you are no longer the trader. And if you find that you're fearful, you have become the trader again. Now, when you start literally letting the piece of paper, the trading plan, do the trade. Oh, the trading plan says I'm supposed to buy here. Big green bar right off of the flat 200 period moving average. Boom, I'm supposed to buy there. That's in my trading plan. Boom, you buy. It says I'm supposed to put the stop under the bar because Oliver says don't lose more than 1 bar. Don't lose more than 1 bar. It's right there. Put the stop under the bar. You're not the trader. These are not your decisions. These are not the results of your conclusions in the heat of the moment. These things have already been decided before there was a trade. They were written down on a piece of paper. Your piece of paper is the trader. You are the watcher. And if you do this long enough, guess what happens to fear? It starts to weaken and weaken and weaken and go away because fear needs you to acquiesce to it, to contain its, to keep its power. Fear is powerless. You give your power to fear. So when you're fearful, you have sacrificed your very own power and you've handed it over to an ethereal thing called fear. A thought, an idea, a mental picture of something going wrong that hasn't happened yet. Do you know that that's really the definition of fear? A mental thought that has not happened, and you fear the thought. Let me give you a quick story. I have twin girls. They're 16 now. But when they were really little, right? Maybe they were like 4 years old. They were in preschool at the time at 4 years old. And anyway, one of my twin girls, she's a tiny bit more artistic than the other when it comes to drawing. The other's more musical, but then one of the twin girls is more artistic with her drawings. And at the age of 4, I remember her screaming at the top of her lungs, "Daddy, daddy, 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 daddy." I like, what the heck is happening? I run downstairs and she's shaking, shivering, screaming away from a distance away from the kitchen table. So, and she's pointing at the kitchen table. "What's the matter, baby?" She's pointing at the kitchen table. I go over to the kitchen table and I see the picture. She drew a picture of a monster. I'm like, "Well, baby, what's the matter?" She says, the monster, it's going to eat me. It's going to eat me. I'm like, "Well, baby, listen, sweetheart. You drew the monster. That's your creation. You have given this thing life. You've given it the power. It's not going to do anything to you unless you want it to do something to you. You created it. There's no reason to fear your own creations. This is what all of you do. You're about to take a trade and you create this thought of losing. What if this is another loss? What if I'm not right? You're creating this picture of a monster, and then after you create it, you say, oh my God, no, a loss." You're like my 4-year-old daughter. Guys, come on, grow up. Get that trading plan in place and give the power to the piece of paper and say, "Look, it's not my decision anymore." You won't even be afraid to lose anymore because you're like, "It's not my fault. It's the piece of paper's fault. Piece of paper told me to buy that. I didn't do that." That's how you conquer it. You're afraid of yourself. Thought is ego, by the way, guys. We throw this word ego around very loosely, but if you were to ask most people what is ego, they really would have a hard time telling you. But in truth, Einstein told us that thought equals not knowing. Not knowing equals uncertainty. Uncertainty, all right, equals basically ego. When you think of a rose, the thought of the rose is not the rose. So when you act on a thought, you are not acting on reality. The thought of my wife is not my wife. My wife doesn't need my thought about her. She is my wife. Do you understand? But when I put a thought between us, I break our relationship. The thought now of my wife stands between me and my wife. And if she has a thought of me, we've got two thoughts in the middle of our relationship. But if we were to drop both thoughts, we relate purely. Thinking is overrated in our society, in our lives, in our relationships, and in our trading. The thought of a stock or a play is not the play. The thought is not necessary to relate directly with it. And so when you have a thought of this being a buy, but the reality is that it's not a buy, but you have a thought that it's a buy, guess which one you're going to give your loyalty to? Reality or the thought about what you think reality is? You're going to give your loyalty to the thought every single time. Why? Because that's your child. What are thoughts called? Your children. We give our loyalty to our own creation, but there is a creation that doesn't need our thoughts, called reality. I spend a lot of time getting my traders to stop thinking. See, I teach them pictures. See this picture? Fat green bar sitting on top of a flat 200. Buy that. Don't think, don't guess, don't hesitate. Buy it. When you see this picture, buy that. Put the stop underneath the bar. It doesn't need your thoughts. That picture doesn't need you to think, traders. Your thinking will cover it up with something that doesn't need to be there. That's ego. Because really what you're saying when you're thinking is, you're saying, I create reality. I know. What is denial? Let's say you're stuck in a losing trade. The trade is going against you. But you don't cut it because you believe that it's going to turn back to the upside. That is ego. It is, you have this picture that you have created in your mind of your losing trade turning around, of the stock turning around. That is your creation. That is not what the stock is doing, but you have created the picture of the turn in your mind. And you, by holding on, are giving more loyalty to your own picture, like my 4-year-old daughter gave more loyalty to the picture of the monster she drew. You're giving more loyalty to the turn up that you have painted yourself. And you say, forget reality. I create reality. It's my thought that matters. It's my drawing that matters. It's my mental image of what's going to happen that matters. So I'm going to sit here, even though reality is proving to me that my picture's wrong in my mind. That's ego-based denial. And the root evil is thinking.